Blitz chess is the subject of our discussion. Now, blitz can be taken and must be taken in a lot of cases very seriously. Some people play blitz games because they just like to see blitz as entertainment, and they get kick out of it. Some people need it for it's like an exercise for quick thinking in case they play tournament game and they need to think quick and move quicker in a time pressure. Also, it helps you for quick orientation during the tournament game. For example, you have a lot of variations you have to calculate, and you have to go by instinct, to develop your intuition. You can never play as many tournament games as you can play blitz games. You can always play more blitz games because it's easier for you to find the opponent. Anyone, almost like 9 out of 10 chess players like to play blitz. And you can go there, and it's a very good practicing, very good way to practice. Now, in some cases, blitz can be very, very damaging too. And here are cases. For example, you play blitz, you make some reckless decisions, and it turns out well. So it leaves wrong impression that you did well, when that could have been a wrong decision, and you might have gotten away with a blitz, something you cannot get away in a tournament game. So it's very, very difficult subject to discuss what is right, good and bad points of a blitz game. Now, in case you play and you want to use blitz game as a way of improving as a all-round player, chess player, it's one thing. If you want to improve as a better blitz player because you are not serious in chess but you would love to play blitz, there is a different way to approach it. Now, you want to be a better blitz player, you want to have better results in blitz, and undermining the instructional point of it, instructional part of blitz games. So what you need to do, you can play a lot of unsound stuff, something you can play real quick if positions are easier to play. For example, if you have some certain system that you know the pawn structure you can play, which is very passive. For instance, you play g6, bishop g7, b6, bishop b7, d6, e6, knight e7, knight d7, a6, h6. I have seen a lot of people do that for black, and they have done it against me. This is like you're going to make like a 6, 7, 8 moves practically in a matter of second or two. But is it going to help you in your progressing as a chess player? Absolutely not. It may help you. You may have good results, or, for example, playing in the opening, the sacrifice, or knowing some tricks that may work, but they are unsound. But they may work because it's a blitz game, and you know you're not going to get away with them in a tournament game. That's also a wrong approach for a serious chess player, and the right approach for blitz player who looks at a game of blitz as an entertainment. So for this reason, we have to divide people who like to play blitz for two categories. Now, for the category, only very strong chess player can be very good blitz player. And people and chess players that are very fast, that are very weak in chess, they are not going to succeed. They are not going to succeed against better players, because no matter how fast you are, there is still element of chess involved, and you have to try to do the best you can. In other words, you can try certain opening systems that you play in a tournament. That's what I would advise. And you can experiment various different ideas in this opening. The best chess players in the world, most of the time, have been very good blitz players. Well, let's take Kasparov, Karpov. They are both, Kasparov probably the best blitz player alive today. Well, Kasparov or Anand. Let's take Anatoly Karpov. Karpov was for many, many years the best 5-minute player, or maybe 3-minute player too. Maybe still is. So, because these people have great experience in chess, great knowledge of different opening systems, and they feel by their fingertips, they feel which piece has to go where and how it's supposed to be played certain position. They don't have to figure out. And most of the time, most successful style in playing blitz is the positional style. Positional style, the reason why, because positional style, when you try to play positional style, you play strictly on intuition, and you don't have to put much time into calculation. Meanwhile, tactics are maybe also very effective in blitz, but tactics require calculations. And if you do play tactics without much of the calculation, the chances are you will miscalculate somewhere, and then even the positional player you're playing against will be able to see some lapse in your combination. Well, you cannot play it flawlessly, so you're going to make some mistakes, and chances are even the positional player can take advantage of it. So now let's look at some of the examples of blitz on the highest level. I have to point that I've been playing blitz, and I always loved blitz all my chess career. I played blitz for over 40 years, and I played against the best blitz players in the world, and I played on a highest level, on medium level, against everybody. And I have a lot of experience in it, and sometimes I have done deliberately weaker moves if it gains some time on opponent's clock. There is such a thing as a sacrifice in chess. For example, you sacrifice in chess, you sacrifice rook for 2 pawns, or rook for attack, or rook for bishop, or you sacrificed minor piece for attack. But there is such a thing as a sacrificing material for time, which you can almost never see in a tournament game. Well, you sacrifice rook, for example, because your opponent has to be careful. You're creating several threats. You know it's not going to be sound, but he has to spend some time to undermine your threats. So there you gain maybe 30, 40 seconds on the clock, and you gave some material. Well, this is also the decision like this, whether it's right or wrong, has to be done based on your experience. Now, the difference between time pressure in a tournament game and a blitz, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. Remember, in a blitz, you can bluff, you can play unsound thing, because it's all about the clock. Time pressure is very, very different in a tournament game, because you have to be careful the way you play there, because time pressure is the temporary factor. Once you made certain moves, it goes to the slow game, and the damage you created to your position, you're going to have to deal with. And it's completely different in blitz. You just continue playing, and you can set up more traps or gain more time and eventually win on time. Now, let's look at some interesting games played by the best players in the world, such as, for example, Kasparov's games. Let's look at some of his games played. These games are taken from the Internet Chess Club's Blitz game. As you know, every top chess player plays on that site, it's on the internet, or one time or another, and almost all of them they play. So Kasparov has played on that server too. This is Kasparov playing with black against another American, against one of the American GMs. I don't want to name names. Knight f3, knight c6, d4. Kasparov is with a black. Knight d4. Now here white tried one forgotten system in Sicilian. The theory does not recommend to play much, but decision that was made by white was very wrong, because Kasparov is not the player you want to try to play unsound opening against, because he is the opening encyclopedia, and you cannot, in the opening he is a computer, and you don't want to experiment against computer, against the best opening player in the world. So after knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, e5, it's very well known Sveshnikov variation, and the normal move is knight b5, and that's what's played like 90% of the time. Knight f5, there is such a move in theory, and it's not regarded as a good move because of d5. Well, obviously, player with white knew that, and after d5 he played ed, bishop takes f5, and d takes c. You see that black is developed very well, and development and initiative is the best part of Kasparov's game. B takes c, queen f3, attacking the bishop on f5 and pawn on c6, queen d7. This is only a 5-minute game. Queen d7, bishop g5, and e4, queen e3. And here, well, if you play with the black, what would you do here? You would probably look at some conservative and safe way to play. But when Kasparov plays it, he looks only for initiative. He focused on how to get what is the best way to get the initiative. So knight g4 was played, queen g3, and now bishop c5, already targeting the f2 pawn, knight to d1. This is practically forced. h6, and after bishop f4, g5. You see that, well, it's difficult to play like this for black, because you continue putting pressure on white, and you have to continue creating threats and put more and more pressure. For white, it's a little easier to play, although it's not a good position for white. Well, bishop is attacked, bishop has to move, bishop d2 is very passive, so bishop e5 was played, black castled. Now you see overwhelming advantage in development. Bishop e2, knight takes e5, queen takes e5, and bishop to d4. You see, intuitively, black went to this position correctly, assessing it as very bad for white. You have two bishops, you have a center. The white absolutely has no chance to take advantage of black's king side. And after queen g3, rook a to e8, white castled, bishop to g6, and you see black is intending to play f5 and f4. Black's piece is dominating, and white is in a lot of trouble here. Queen to b3, king to g7, and after c3, bishop b6, white played knight e3. Well, in this position, the move that most logical move is f5. Well, here is the way the Blitz game is played. f5 is a normal move, and I would say 9 out of 10 players would play f5. But every position here is, this is economy way of playing Blitz. Intuitive and very good way. Also, there is another way, the way chosen by Kasparov. He takes advantage of concrete situation. He plays bishop takes c3. In general, it's a bad exchange. Concretely, it's a very good move. Bishop takes c3, pawn takes, and queen to d2. He's attacking two pieces, bishop on e2, pawn on e3. This is concrete. So he can do it in split seconds. But, well, you cannot, chances are you're going to miss some of these concrete threats, two-move threats. But if you have done something like f5, you would have been in a very good shape as well. f5, I'm not even sure bishop takes c3 move is better than f5. f5 is very powerful, going by f4 and supported. Attack is supported by two black rooks and two bishops. This is very powerful for white, for black. However, after bishop takes c3, f takes e, queen d2, attacking bishop and the pawn, white played king f2. They protected them both. But now comes rook e6, and you see rook f6 is next move. Queen d1, rook f6 check, king g1, queen takes e3 check, king h1, and after rook takes f1, bishop takes f1, and queen f2, black has an extra pawn and totally winning position. White played queen d7 still, queen takes b2, queen d4 check. Of course, in a tournament game, white would have resigned maybe even several moves ago, but in a blitz, you can play some positions you normally don't play in the tournament game. Rook e1, queen b6. Now black doesn't mind, black doesn't mind an exchange. Rook takes c4. Now c5. White could have taken the exchange, but they can do it next move too. c5, and after queen e5, bishop takes e4, queen takes e4, queen g7, h3, queen e6, and finally white resigned. Now this is kind of, you see, if we play, if someone with no title playing Blitz game anywhere, they have a luxury to do anything they want. They can start with the first move h3, e3 on play by the clock. Players on the level of Kasparov, they wouldn't do it. They don't want to do it. They try to play their best, and they can't afford doing this. The reason why, because people will analyze their games and they will come to conclusion, what is this? World champion was coffee housing, playing for time? Oh, he's not supposed to do that. And, well, just to give an example, they have to play full-scale chess game and try to make the absolute best moves they can come to.